There have been some outrageous rumors going on with several of the members dating, and those rumors, we need to talk about it. We also have people concerned over the 2025 reunion, and then we have members of EXO believed to be talked about and dropped within HYBE's documents, allegedly, and what's going on with that. So hey Dumplings, it's David Disci, let's get into it. Now, EXO is currently being talked about, and I was very confused as to why this was being brought up. Apparently, somewhere in the internal documents, there were people translating the documents to say basically that the label was targeting EXO. If you're unaware of what's going on, obviously EXO is in a separate label, so how does this have anything to do with BTS's label? Well, there was a slight acquisition a long time ago, if you don't remember, and apparently parts of SM now are under HYBE. There were some people who assumed that the label was trying to get EXO to disband because EXO is the label's biggest threat. They don't want to see EXO succeed, they just want to see BTS succeed, and thus they're trying to ruin EXO's comeback. This allegedly came from internal documents, and people believe that this was like the official statement from the label. It is very important to note that there have been no official statements, only rumors of this statement existing, and it's important for me to stress that none of this has actually ever been officially said, because other people believe that parts of the document were allegedly talking about how EXO should just move away from full group comebacks, and there's a lot of reasons why the label might say something like that, and there's a lot of reasons why the group may or may not want to do that. First off, EXO has a lot of their own activities that they're doing. A couple of the members are acting, and they might decide to do more solo things, and that would be more beneficial than if they were to be a group again. Of course, EXO's career is still very good, and if they were to make a comeback as a group, they would do very well, just like they always have. So my statement is more so in general than it is to any specific group. But I really find it very interesting how a lot of people within the community oftentimes don't like to listen to what people that are in the industry might predict. So if someone in the industry says, we believe that the industry is going in this direction, we actually want to take apart the group for a little while and just have them each do solo stuff, because that's really what's doing well right now. There will be fans that will come out and attack the label for their decision on that, and then show screenshots of award shows and other accolades that the group has won, and thus that is why they should still be together. Groups, labels, and companies have to constantly take risks and do things that are a little bit uncomfortable in order to maintain the artist's career. I feel like a lot of people who are upset when artists or labels decide to change something about their career are not fully aware of how the industry works. The industry is ever moving and ever moving very fast. If the artist is constantly trying to reach a new audience, they are on the decline of their career. This is the same for any business. There are very few businesses that don't have to do advertising and will still be very successful. Look at how big McDonald's is, and they still do advertising. It's kind of the same thing. So when a member of a K-pop group decides to do a comeback, their goal isn't just to reach their existing community, but their goal is to reach new people too, and hopefully more new people so that those people can then become part of their community. I don't think that the group is going to get dropped. I don't think that they're going to not be a group anymore, but I think that the label wants to try to experiment and try different things, and I think that that's okay. We also haven't even thought about this idea that the members might want to do more solo stuff, and that's cool too. Recently, the 2025 or the 2026 reunion has been talked about, and the reunion was always believed to be, I think, 2025. And this is where the concern has been, because the CEO has apparently talked about the 2026 reunion, and some people think that the label is purposely skipping 2025, or now is suddenly being pushed back another year, and that being kind of concerning. Now, it was always talked about from the beginning that 2025 was a little bit of an estimate, and it wasn't going to be the real date. However, of course, it makes sense why the CEO would be planning activities a year later in 2026, because that's when the members come back from the military officially, like all of them. And they still have to take time to create the album, learn the dances, and just do everything that they need to do in order to make good music. On top of that, I would hope that they get at least a few months or at least a week or two to breathe before they get back into making music. Of course, this doesn't mean that it will just keep getting pushed back or that it's canceled or whatever it is, but a lot of people are definitely scared because the date seemingly shifted further back now. But I want to say this is nothing to be concerned about. I think it's great that the dates get pushed back to potentially where they're more a little bit comfortable. I mean, after all, most of them probably aren't going to be back until about mid-2025 anyway, so we probably shouldn't even expect that they would jump right into things. But even if they do jump right into things, it is still worth it to have a conversation about what they plan on doing in 2026. Not that they're not doing anything in 2025. Maybe they're touring, whether that's just a lot of press and they that they have lined up for that. Whatever it is, it's very important to talk about it and discuss it. Glad that that conversation is being had right now. We also should be having a sigh of relief that they have a date in mind and that they also have plans for the foreseeable future of when the members will come back together. And we should be excited to think about just what those activities are. There is also a pre-recorded content music thing that is going to be coming out soon, and it's going to celebrate the Christmas holiday, and the label decided to drop BTS X Bing Crosby. So if you remember last year, V dropped him doing a cover of Bing Crosby. So a lot of people are also wondering if it's just going to be a cover or if it's just going to be a remix of his song. But also a lot of people are definitely wondering if it was just going to be a BTS member or if it's all of the BTS boys, which is what it seems like. So there's stuff in the works, there's stuff happening. There is even stuff that is going to come out, so do not fret. The members are coming back, the reunion is happening, and even if it's happening potentially on a later date, it's still happening. Now, there is this rumor that has been a little bit more insane. I want to stress and say this over and over again, that a lot of the stuff that I see about what is coming out referencing the internal documents of the label seems to be so far-fetched. And a lot of it I feel like is trying to make the label look really bad, and I don't know how much of it's true and how much is like real and how much is fake and how much is, because it's just like so far-fetched. Because the CEO did come out to talk about how he was ashamed of some of the insults or the bad things that were leaked in the internal documents. And I think people took that as an opportunity to say, oh, these internal documents can say anything, and then people are trying to make up something to make the label look bad. But apparently there was a conversation that was leaked within the documents where someone was basically saying that they wonder if V and Jennie and their dating rumor was used to allow the other members to date more privately. People interpret this in a very interesting way because I interpret it a little bit differently. But what people thought it meant was that if the other members were to come out to date or say that they were in a relationship, that the label would then push V and Jennie rumors to cover up the other members dating. However, what I interpreted this was if V and Jennie came out dating first, then the other members would feel more okay to do it. But also the reception for the other members dating probably wouldn't be that crazy because one of the members had already come out dating. So the second, third, fourth are obviously not going to be as shocking. This happens with everything. I mean, even when the members got Miss Rona, I think a lot of them ended up getting that virus, but obviously the first was the most shocking or the most scary. But then people interpret this to mean that V and Jennie rumors were to cover up Jimin and Song dating, talking about the fact that when Jimin and Song's dating rumor came out, the next day, that is when the photo of V and Jennie holding hands in Paris came out. So apparently the day before the Jimin dating rumor came out, that is when the V and Jennie rumor had happened. Like the two were holding hands, they were seen in Paris, blah, blah, blah. And then it was believed that the label waited for the media outlets to drop Jimin and Song being in a relationship. And then they decided to release footage of V and Jennie in Paris. Of course, this is all completely just assumptions and alleged and baseless rumors because we don't even know where in the original document did it even talk about V and Jennie dating, let alone this idea that if it did talk about it, there are so many different ways to interpret what they said. Specifically, the words "I wonder," which was actually translated, would already imply that this is not what people were rumoring it to be. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.